for May the 13th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, Laura, take roll call.
Robert DePalma.
I'm here.
Janelle Keller.
Here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Okay, we're all here. Everybody should have received a copy of the agenda for tonight. We do have two small changes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna remove the conference for the cemetery board that's on G, and in its place, insert a letter that just came in from Ortonville asking if we would support the fireworks again this year. So, other than that, the agenda looks all right to me.
For G,
For G, yeah, take out that. That's this conference.
take out MAMC, that's not cemetery.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
M,
It's also MAMC for clerks. but
Oh,
it's-
I'm like, what is he talking about? Okay, so we're taking out G for
And adding in, discuss fireworks for,
fireworks.
okay.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't have any other changes unless somebody else has.
Nope.
Okay, if not, a motion would be in order to approve it, subject to those changes on G.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda for May 13th, 2024 as amended.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's approved.
Do you have support for
I'll second it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Okay. Thanks.
now that I understand.
Okay, has everybody received a copy of the minutes from the, April 8th meeting? That's the regular board meeting, they look okay to me.
Yeah, zoning appeals, it's an April 29th event on page 4,
Mm-hmm.
not March 29th.
Oh, good,
Oh,
good catch.
April,
Actually, I had one note I wanted to make also, on that first item, where it said, meeting coming up with the regional, Detroit Regional Center to do the marketing, parcels for Metropolitan Detroit. The meeting was actually with Oakland County Economic Development. I still have to go back to Detroit Metropolitan. So that was my error. I said, at the meeting, I did say Detroit Metropolitan, but I meant Oakland County Economic Development.
what page is that on?
4.
Four, at the very
Oh,
top.
okay.
Supervisor's report. So it's
Okay.
Oakland County Economic Development.
I wonder if Detroit would.
There is the Detroit, I still have to go back to that.
Okay, I understand. Then the only thing I have under BGYA, on page 3, that was the youth recognition was on the 25th, not the 16th, but it's already happened, so I'm not sure that makes a
We can't
big
rewrite
difference,
history.
but that's it.
Okay. Okay, with those changes, does anybody wanna make a motion subject to those changes?
I will motion that we accept the minutes, from April 8th, 2024 as amended.
Support.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No.
If not, you made a motion, Janelle seconded. Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so they're approved. Now, you should also have the minutes from, what I got, from the, special meeting on May the 8th.
Sorry. Special ones next.
Mm-hmm. I just stuck it in, it was good.
Okay.
I just
Those
stuck
look
it
good to me.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them, I thought they were fine, I didn't change anything. So, anybody wanna make a motion? to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 8th special board meeting.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved, and now we got just the, fire board meeting, which was April the 8th.
So I will note that I was not present, so we want to move my name from members present to excused absence.
Oh, okay.
Can I point of clarification, I didn't write it down either. We've got a note that says fire station needs a new replacement vehicle. Was there anything more specific on that? Does anybody remember? I don't, I'm sorry to say.
No, the only thing we talked about was that we brought it up at the budget meeting, and that's,
What was it, Kevin?
it was to replace my chief's car with a new truck,
Okay, okay,
and we did.
fine, I just don't remember it. That's fine.
And he brought two options and actually
Three.
chose three options,
Yeah.
chose the less expensive.
Yeah,
Captain Mason.
I wasn't here, but the last bullet item where it says hire Jennifer Luger Hyde for auxiliary, I'm not familiar with that.
We changed the name from the CERT team to auxiliary. It's just so when they bring us drinks and food and stuff while we're on a fire, things like that.
Oh, okay.
I remember that. yeah.
So
So we
that
just-
used to be CERT team, right?
It used to be CERT, now we call them auxiliary because the CERT team required certain, qualifications.
Okay, I
So
understand.
this is just, so they're covered on the insurance if something happens.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, actually, Angie out of Olds been helping us test hose and stuff, so it's very good.
Any other, somebody wanna make a motion then? Is there
Just,
another question?
Uh,
I'm sorry.
was Captain Williams here? Was he here last month?
He was here.
I think he was here.
We got Captain Mason now.
Well, he was here too.
Well, so was Chief Mason.
Oh.
My alter ego was here too.
I'm talking about, I need to talk about that, the
As
personality
always.
stuff.
Yeah.
Laura, you got that?
Just as long as we're both getting paid, that's all.
I did recently volunteer for a Girl Scout trip, and so did I. So that they could get some extra bodies. They didn't count me, but they counted me.
Okay, we need a motion then for
I'll
the
make
April
a-
8th meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular fire board minutes from April 8th with the changes as noted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Jim, okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay, it's approved, or cruising. Fine, I'm sorry, I gotta turn my phone
That's okay. That's me, right? I don't have any budget amendments just yet. So this is really just, this is the first month of the fiscal year, so, nothing really to report at this time. I did just pass out the revenue and expense report, which really is just the budget with all of these laid into it. You will see that the 2024-2025 amended budget is not showing any numbers on that second, the revenue and expense report, and that's because, the auditors are in this week, and I am working with them on a couple of things, making sure that we're kind of starting the year with a real fresh slate for all of our GL numbers. So next month those will show up, but I'm kind of working with them this week for that.
We rarely have to change in the first one anyway.
Well, that's what I figured, there's not really a whole lot, I mean, if we were over budget already, we'd probably have some problems. Probably didn't budget too well, so, anyway, I did wanna just tell you that in case you noted it. Other than that, just, nothing really out of the ordinary, if I recall. We did have some monies that were paid for Oakland County Treasurer, for county and schools, and I don't know if there was anything else too exciting. Any questions on it? Alright, if not, then I would motion that we accept, the Station 1, the first payment for Station 1, we did pay out last
Oh,
week.
yeah.
So that's a pretty big item on that agenda, or on that report. Anyway, so I would motion that we approve accounts payables as submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? If not, it is a bunch of money, so Laura, take a roll call on it.
Robert DePono,
Yes?
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
And then accounts payable, which we just did, right? Yeah, so financial report for general fire, Teresa.
Investment.
Well, our investment report, I'm sorry, we didn't have anything else for general fire building report, did we?
That was just that one with the
Yeah,
budget numbers.
Yeah, so, okay, we're good. we'll do the, investment. report.
So the investment report, as you can see, is as of April 30th, that's the money that's cash on hand. It jumped up significantly because I moved the 2023 tax collection over into, the correct funds instead of it sitting in the tax fund. So once settlement was completed, then it got moved over. So fire received $1,015,887. That included the DNR tax for tax collection for both township and fire that we always give over there to the fire department. So that, and then township received $266,057. So those were sitting in the tax account until the tax collections were complete, since that is the operating budget for the next, this fiscal year, the 2023 tax collection is the operating budget for the 2024 to 25 fiscal year.
Put on the bottom of the tax collection.
Yeah.
Included, so it's in there.
So that's why it's such a big jump. Other than that, everything's, rates are still holding well, and, things are looking fine.
Yeah, good shape. Okay, thank you. Any questions from anybody? No? Okay, good. Okay, presentations, we have none for today. Public hearings, we have none for today. Unfinished business, we have none for today. So moving right into new business. The first one is to discuss the Envision payroll price changes.
So this really, I had just added actually more for like me to just mention, but it's probably not bad for you all to see it anyway. With everything else, their rates are increasing, so, that means our budget probably will look a little bit different. I don't think it's anything significant, but it's enough that it could affect what that looks like at the end of the day. So there really wasn't a whole lot there unless you wanted me to look into a
Like
different
peanuts.
company. Yeah, there's really not much, that was just fun for me.
They were a
to
lot
look.
cheaper than the last one too.
Yeah, I mean, I have some comments on that. Sometimes you get what you pay for.
As I like to say, if you're lucky.
Well, and it's taken a while to actually, navigate the whole thing, so.
It really has.
I would say just give them their little raise.
Yes, they can take it for now. It's I'm sure Laura would love to share some stories with you.
You don't wanna learn a whole new
It's
system.
been fun to learn.
You're
You don't wanna approve this, you just want your
investigate
town
other
It's
fine.
just
things and bring them to
informational,
us.
just informational.
Okay, very good. Okay, next one, discuss Laura Bagley's, step increase.
So Laura is due for her, we had approved the 3-month step increase instead of the 6-month, just to kind of bump a little bit faster. And she would be eligible for this next month, starting June, so I figured we'd just get it underway right now. She's been doing fantastic, even tackling the lovely payroll system.
And she's been very helpful to
She
me on
is.
the $2.1 million that she and I are gonna bring in.
Yes,
Okay.
no, she's been wonderful, great, she fits in really well. I hope you like it here. So I would motion that we approve her, this would be her 3rd step increase, to be effective June 2024. I can support that.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, if not, you take a roll call if you want it to be effective, Laura.
Teresa Bills.
Or did you start with me?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Jim Christopher. Tina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Robert DePalma. Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next one, discuss election day office closing.
So, I know that we usually wait until just right before the elections to do this, but since we know they're coming, I just figured we'd just get it out of the way right now, we've always done it for our major elections, close the office down, because it does tend to get a little chaotic in here, we have the AV counting board voting downstairs. So I would motion that we close the office on our election day in both August and November this year. Unless anyone has anything against that.
Is there a second to it?
I'll second it.
Any questions from the board? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Please. Next one is a petition from, or a proclamation from the county that we get these every year. This one is for Mental Health Month for the month of May. And so you got a copy of the language they sent us for it. It'd be appropriate for someone to make a motion to approve May as Mental Health Month with the attached proclamation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
It would be resolution 2024-009.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that, 20?
2024-009.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
By Gina, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, good, now that. We got a lot of housekeeping today. Okay, discuss Groveland Township Employee Policy Manual. Good. I think you wanted this on, or was it you, Gina?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I wanna say is after going through all of it, there's a lot. More than I think we wanna do at this meeting. Between the two different manuals, there's some overlap, there's some, things that, one says one thing, one says another. So I would like to request that perhaps, some people in the office clean it up. I'm happy to give you all of my notes. I'll talk to you, whatever, I can, I can explain. I know Teresa has also gone over it, but.
That's not sticky, right?
Oh, no, I mean, there really is, there's an awful lot, it's too much to do at this meeting.
is.
It's a couple hours work.
Okay.
So I would like to suggest that we put it into the office, and then after even just some of the cleanup suggestions are done, then maybe they can bring it back and we can discuss it then. Cause there's even, in my opinion, I mean, I could not find anything, for certain jobs that we have in the office, I couldn't even find
We're gonna have to find out who in the office we can have do it.
Sure.
Laura's gonna be busy with me until we figure out how to get that money in work, in case you didn't know.
Okay, Teresa, you,
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say that there's some stuff that's just needs to be updated just because, like, there's a clinic that is referenced here
Right.
for if somebody has a
Injury.
problem or injury, they are supposed to go to said clinic on Dorrit Highway. Well, it's not there. Like, I went online and looked, and I called the phone number that's in here, it's
Right.
not valid. So that
Okay.
may have existed back in December 2019, but it's, obviously, we're fortunate, we haven't had to use it, but one never knows. And so it's logistical things like that I think also, need to be updated.
Reference to testing, there's, again, and I would also mention how much the cable manager job has changed. So I see that is the next item, and I'm hoping that that will remedy that situation, because it is not the same job that it was 5 years ago.
Are we suggesting that E and F be tabled then for a future meeting?
E and F, no. Well, just E, like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
I
asking.
didn't know, just
I didn't
E,
put F
yeah.
on there.
Yeah,
Somebody
just
else
E,
did.
Alright,
yeah,
so
yes.
are you suggesting that?
Yeah.
I just,
I
sure you're
am
right.
su- I
Suggesting
am
we table E for a future meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
well, not just table, but
Right.
table it and have a couple people work on it. Jim?
Are you two suggesting that this is more of a clerical function? Before you answer, can we hire someone in to, go through the two, or it's gotta be someone that?
it needs somebody familiar with it, certainly. And it, in part, it is clerical, but it is also something that definitely needs to come back to the board, because it is, policy and procedure, statutory duty, all of the above, yes.
Okay, so-
Sorry, chief, what you,
I was just gonna say, we did that under special session last time, when we reviewed it with the company.
Yeah, a company did work on it last time.
And I forget the acronym.
and
I
Acto,
remember.
and
Yeah.
Acto, yeah.
and this is what they produced, I wouldn't hire them again.
We approved it, and
Yeah, I mean, it has been what,
In 2019.
5 years?
5
so
years.
Stuff changes.
I'd like to go through it again too, just to see
Okay.
what's
Yeah.
changed.
All right.
Just for the
Well,
clinic, we use.
Find out what's got
urgent
some
care.
cycle time and we'll set it up, okay. So your motion though was to table it.
My motion is to table it with the understanding that it will be worked on and at least the redundancies cleaned up
Okay,
and then brought back
okay,
to the board for, yeah.
okay, is there a second to that motion?
Do do we wanna determine who's gonna work on it? Do we wanna just leave that to us to discuss in the office, or do you wanna say?
I think you gotta specify, because I have no idea who's gonna be able to work on it right now.
I can, Janelle.
Why don't, did you wanna do that? Is that what you said, Jim? You wanna do it by yourself?
No, I was just gonna comment.
We call that voluntold.
I thought that was voluntary.
I don't think it matters who does it.
Okay.
So-
Why don't we talk in the office and figure out what we can do to work on it together and
And including chief.
Yeah.
I'll review my
Yeah.
motions and see what needs to be.
Yeah,
I think
okay,
that'll work out.
and with a timeline of saying, like, whatever we come up with, we can at least, report back in June
Yeah.
with an update.
At least
Yeah, well,
progress.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That was a complete rewrite of the previous one, so.
And if we have this in Word document, there are things edits that, my SAT brain is like, oh, I can't handle when you have the heading at the very bottom of one page and then the stuff comes to the next page, right? Like, the heading should be on the same page as the material. So I do think that,
Yeah. Well, there definitely are a lot of inconsistencies is what I found.
Right,
That was difficult. But
Well,
I think that's great. Let's work
right,
on it in
and
the
like
office.
with regard to compensating the clerk, we have a paragraph that says we can, and then we have another paragraph that says we can't. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think we can work on that in the office too.
okay.
So you made a motion.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? The motion is to table it and then set up a review of who's going to do it and when, and report back in the next meeting. Right?
sounds good.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, well, I committed through that one. Okay, next is discuss the cable manager and move it to part-time. Janelle, do you wanna cover that?
Yeah, so this is just, we have been paying the cable manager, as a 1099 employee, independent
PEG money.
contractor, yeah, with the PEG monies. And kind of looking through some of this came across my desk, what you're seeing in the packet here, I think it's a couple down. But, we really probably should have been paying him as a part-time employee. And if you read through this, you'll see, for an independent contractor, they kind of create their own schedule, they use their own supplies. That's not really what we do here. When we have a job, we task our cable manager with that job. He utilizes our equipment. So really, it looks like it should be more of a part-time employee and paid through payroll, just like we pay, our, electrical inspector, our mechanical inspector, building inspector, ordinance officer. So really, he's the only one who is currently still being 1099, and I believe that should be more of a part-time employee role, like some of those other ones.
And since I've seen here that this is scheduled to take effect, it's at March 11th of 2024, it's a recent.
Yes, and that's why it came, just recently this came through. So I would recommend that we consider moving him to that part-time employee status instead of that 1099 independent contractor that we currently have him as.
It sounds like I read the whole thing, and it did sound to me like it was employee as opposed to independent contractor, so.
My motion would be that we move him to a part-time employee as opposed to the independent contractor as he's currently.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's done. I noticed
Thank
in
you,
this,
Janelle, for actually getting us back into compliance with the
Yeah.
new regulations, so appreciate that.
when I went through this section that we just went through, there was a page in there on the Holly area youth mixed in there.
Yeah, I think that's Jay, I think we just.
Oh, just out of sequence?
Yeah, just out of
Okay,
sequence.
all right, okay, very good. All right, and then the next item is the one we changed G from the cemetery conference to the Ortonville fireworks, and we just got a letter from Ortonville saying that, they wanted us to consider $2,000 donation for their fireworks show this year, because it benefits both Brandon and Groveland residents, and last year we did make a donation to them, and shock of all things, like everything, fireworks went up again, so it's harder to do it for the same amount of money. But they're asking for $2,000, and so that's the motion, or excuse me, that's the suggestion they're making. Does anybody wanna make a motion to that effect?
Do you remember what we gave them last year?
It's not on here.
No, I don't know.
think we tried to give the same thing as like Brandon Township, or, I think we tried to just be consistent with them.
Right.
$2,000, I know, in a lot of fireworks.
Well, and that, I remember that from last year when they told us it was over 40
Yeah.
to put it on.
Up,
It
up
was-
north, the fireworks
yeah.
they had got cut way back, cause it just like quadrupled a couple of years ago. So I don't think that's unreasonable. And our residents, people look up and see the same.
And I know a lot of our residents do go to that, and plus we are still, we're still getting plenty of interest income, so.
I'm in support of it.
Okay, so,
No, and I'll second
okay, so you make the motion.
It was a great motion.
You're in support, okay, are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, Laura, would you take the roll call on it, please?
Gina Mazzarelli,
it. Yes.
Robert DiPalma.
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Where were we taking that out of?
Is it 701?
No, that would,
I can see what we did last year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, next, this next item I just put on here for information. I sent you all a copy of an ad request that they asked us if we wanted to advertise the tech park in the North Oakland Business Card Directory. I'm not actually asking us to do that. Some of the things that I've been approached on, I do think are pretty good for us to get the word out on it. I don't think this is one of the reasons I put it on here. I wanna ask you, are you comfortable if I just weed them out and only bring to you the ones that I think are worthwhile? Or if you want, I'll bring you every one of them, cause there's a bunch. Okay?
I'm comfortable with you
Me
making,
too.
weeding it out.
I am,
Okay.
I
I
do.
think that,
And I
And nobody
think you-
thought this one was worth doing, did
Yeah.
they?
I don't think so either.
Because they keep on sending me the same request.
It's a business card directory.
Yeah,
We're not a
that's-
business,
it's-
we're promoting.
It's about the same impact you get when you go to a restaurant, you see the, underneath the table cover, you know, the names of a bunch of, I just don't think that does much for what we're trying to do. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, next one is discuss campus canines, Inc. I'm not sure who put that out
Merlin.
Yeah. This one may have come through to me. I remember reading it anyway. It's Brandon School District and their therapy dogs. They're looking for just some additional support for, going toward the dogs. I don't think there was a specific amount.
No, just the cost of each dog is all they listed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they are, I can speak to this because Carly Stone, the superintendent, has spoken about it at a couple of BGYA meetings. The district has, their liaison officer, who is Deputy Pence, and Deputy Pence has Woody, they call him Deputy Woody, so Detective Pence is no longer, or Deputy Pence is no longer Deputy Pence, he's Woody's dad, right? So, everybody's like, where's Woody, where's Woody? So Woody is adorable, he's a King Charles Spaniel, but he mostly stays in the high school. That's where he most of the time is, and he's supposed to be, the liaison for the whole district. But they want, in light of the, anxieties, I guess, and increased, stresses and stuff on students these days, they want to bring in a comfort dog to each building, and so they have partnered with this, and there are other schools that have already, worked with this group, but they raise them from puppies and they train them for like a year and a half, and it's not cheap, so that's why they're looking for donations to cover the costs of these first two dogs. And I do think that one of the dogs is gonna be living with, I don't wanna quote this wrong, but I think, with Mrs. Hevel, the, principal from Harvey Swanson, and the other one might be going, I don't know where the other ones, I know that they're marked for Harvey Swanson and the middle school, that's where they're gonna be ending up, and they want them to be living with somebody who's already teaching at the school. So, I don't know how much money they've raised, but they're trying to do this at no expense to the school. But it's a bigger process, like, there is still time. I don't know, if they sent this because they're actually wanting to solicit funds from us right now, or if they're just making us aware, because there was an article in the Citizen as well, kind of sharing this information and telling people that they can donate as well, so, I mean, we can act on it, or we can wait and bring it up again in a few months.
They probably need to plan on how they're gonna fund this dog owner to get it.
Well, they're not expected to get this dog, for like another year. They're saying, well, and here it says, at this time, we anticipate having 2 trained therapy dogs in the district full-time in the spring of the 2025 school year. So to me, that means.
2 dogs arriving in town.
Yeah,
So that's gonna be 40 grand for 2 dogs.
correct. And so, we have a BGYA meeting tomorrow. Carly will be there.
Oh, okay.
If you would like, I can tell her we brought this up at our meeting, and we might
Like some.
appreciate some guidance on, what
That's
they
right.
are hoping for from the municipalities, right?
Mhm.
Because BGYA itself has some funds that I think, I might suggest that they put towards this as well.
This is the same kind of thing, I think, that the sheriff's dog does, isn't it? Except he
This
takes
is
his dog
different.
with him.
Theirs are comfort dogs for the actual deputies themselves.
Oh, is that it?
This
Cause he
is-
brings that dog to every meeting, every
Yeah,
event.
they're comfort dogs for the deputies.
Okay.
These are working dogs that would be in the schools for the kids. And these are labs, whereas, or golden retrievers. Golden retrievers make good therapy dogs, don't they?
I guarantee you the Boston Terrier does not.
So I will talk to them, tomorrow at BGYA if you'd like, and then we can
Yeah, we can
bring
put it
this back
on
up
the
again.
June meeting. Okay.
Because I really have no idea what to recommend,
But we don't know how many people they're trying to tap.
Right,
For
right.
payments,
But
right?
it is, I think it's a great way to support the
I do
residents.
too.
Okay.
And we did just approve mental health month, so.
So let's, why
Well,
don't we?
we sure did, and you know what, with that, maybe we should make a motion on it today, because
Well,
this is.
it was
mental
just a
health month.
resolution to support it, and obviously, it's not just gonna be May.
Yeah,
So, no, I
Right.
think investigate it, bring it back,
We
and,
can
yeah.
table it till June, right?
okay, all right,
Yeah.
I will bring it up tomorrow.
Okay. Good, thank you. All right, next item is discuss hire sponsorship, and that's where the letter was us. To Patty, and you should have a copy of it from the youth organization. We allocated 2,500, I think, last year.
I think that's actually in the,
Budget.
well, it's in the budget, but in the bylaws of BGYA and HIA are the municipality support.
Yeah, and they're asking for the same thing
Yep.
this year,
Mhm.
so that's good work.
And BGYA will be asking again as well, like Bob MacArthur will be coming in
Okay,
sometime this summer, I'm sure. But yes,
this one's for Holly.
this is for Holly.
Yep.
So we need a motion to approve that, or recommend for approval of $2,500.
A motion to approve $2,500 in sponsorship of the Holly Area Youth Assistance for our 2024 calendar year.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Gina, okay, any questions or comments from the board? If not, Laura, please take a roll call.
Robert DiPalma,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Okay, this next one, is actually, approval of a special use permit for the Renaissance Festival. The Planning Commission had some discussion on that, Jim, so do you wanna cover us on that?
Yeah, so, I need a little bit of direction first. I have Chip Schultz's PowerPoint that he presented to the planning commission. The planning commission approved it and is recommending to the board to do that. I think the general information would be valuable. So Bob, if it's okay at this point, rather than the planning commission report, I'd like to grab the TV.
Sure.
Good.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. And here's the letter. so where's our IT person?
He's at the screen right
Yeah, it's
now.
at the screen holding the controller.
Exactly. There you go.
You turn the lights off.
Okay, I can do this.
I think you had the input.
Yeah, I don't know how I got there though.
There.
Okay, we should go across. This looks like fun.
Got a few some gems.
He's got it.
There you go. So you are the IT guy.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna read some of this, everybody, and paraphrase. The statistics were very interesting, and of course I've got to get the notes, but as you can see, it was the second largest attendance, and we had no problems per se. So, in all, they've gotten their act together. We had people in attendance from Berryville Road that sang nothing but praise all the way around.
Oh, that's good, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. They're going to retain elite parking again, which it says there.
Which is part of the biggest reason for the improvement there, because they actually got professional parkers instead of kids from charitable groups who said they'd show up, and then if the weather is nice, they decide to go to the beach. So, yeah.
For my notes now, elite apparently has as many as 40 representatives there at a time. So, again, that is working as well. The references, I happened to, years ago, go to the Orchard Lake St. Mary's Festival, and that was very well orchestrated. I assume Elite was doing it when I used to go.
I think they did it till it stopped.
They're now gonna offer parking vouchers, and that might be on the next slide. Because there were, I'm sorry, everybody, it's hard to do both. Because there were some issues with people saying, well, Bob paid for parking, but there's nothing on the dashboard to prove it. So they had some people kind of welshing on either parking or saying, no, I paid. So they're working on that, they're improving, everybody, is what I'm trying to say. They will continue to drone, the traffic. The general manager there, I assume that's his title, Chip Schultz, said he was originally skeptical about that, but it provided him real-time opportunity to assess what was going on, and he found it very valuable.
If the backup, because we have all this horrendous traffic work on Dixie Highway this year and next year, if the problem actually ends up being the construction work, like that year that they closed down part I-75 and made a huge mess, with the drone, he can easily document that that's the actual problem, not the Renaissance Festival per se. So it helps them as well as helping the general situation.
And this is parenthetical and simply my opinion, the fact that he's willing to retain that as opposed to just cutting costs, to me is something that was long overdue.
If I remember correctly, I think Chip told me that's the guy that flies the drone for the sheriff. He's one of the deputies, I think.
I remember hearing that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Our drone's still broke, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't.
Well, I have a personal drone mic, so,
I mean, the fire department.
yes, we're not fixing it either.
Here's what I meant, point 3, about the parking stub now. They're continuing to advertise to pay online. This is, it's important, but I don't think for this meeting, they're gonna continue to monitor parking, and this is a little bit of a plan of sorts internal to them. I like this, new perimeter roads result in 3 miles of stacking inside the property.
That's another reason
Yeah.
for a big.
Why God's saying they didn't do that years ago is beyond me, but it's working now.
I think that problem was actually relevant to the previous parking manager.
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't have 40 people directly inside.
Correct.
Yes.
Can't really tell you, other than somewhere on here, they purchased a continuous, I'm sorry, good spelling, Jim. Contiguous, I'll get even with that. New contiguous lot was purchased, I'm sorry to say.
Is that the one on Larry Road?
I
If they
don't,
bought that property and never used it, couldn't get it approved before from Holly, but I thought they got that approved and it was
That white
10
lot
acres.
on the right side of their drive, they've never owned that. I think they bought that.
Number one?
I don't
The
know if I have
gap
a
there
number
on
on
the
it.
right?
Underneath number 4?
This right here. The guy that had the ponies all the years owned this lot in here. This is not the Renaissance, where it's not striped. I think they bought that lot from him. The lot you're talking about is on the other side of Larry Road.
Yes.
Because Holly Township would never let the people
Let
cross.
use, right.
okay, thanks.
Yep, so I think that's what they bought.
This upcoming year is the 45th anniversary, oh, let's see if that, again, I didn't find any of this important, this is more operation, so I didn't really focus on it. Yeah, the statistics here are pretty cool, especially when you go to the comp tickets and when they were redeemed. So Bob, to your point, over the years, you were 100% correct.
72% redeemed at the end.
Yeah, look at the last two. So I thought the board would certainly find that of interest, and you can have a copy of this too. You want me to go back?
No, you're good.
An example of a complimentary ticket. Signage, should they need it. Minutia. They continue to tweak this. The balance of my notes say this is a 45th year coming up. Yeah, that's amazing.
That's because they used to be down in Springfield at Columbia originally, before they moved up here.
Signs that they use internally. Again, I'm not commenting on any of this. Towing is in place.
And everybody's on board this time?
Apparently so. We had 3 residents come in off of Perryville and they extolled nothing but high praise for Chip and the team.
Good. Perfect.
It'll be interesting to see if they continue to grow, what happens the next time they exceed the physical parking capacity.
Yeah.
The past plans,
That's
when they
it.
would get bad and then they'd get better for a couple of years and then they'd get bad again, would always be because the festival continued to grow and then it wouldn't get better until they bought another hunk of property for a parking lot. Then it would get good for 2 or 3 years again before it got all messed up.
Well, I like the fact that, I mean, they had a plan, it worked last year. They've
Yeah.
looked at what worked and they're making improvements even on top of that, so I say kudos to them.
Yeah, it's nice, as everyone probably remembers, I was quite happy to vote no last year.
Yeah.
But they've earned my,
I actually think a lot of what happened last year is it was pretty clear that if they didn't fix it, we were gonna take them to court and try and get
I
it
think it
shut
was
down.
real clear.
Okay, that may have added a little extra push. But there's, you still have to be aware that this year, I'm not sure anybody can figure out exactly what the impact's gonna be with all the I-75 work. Cause that's gonna go through October, maybe even into November, depending on the weather. About November 18th, I think they close the asphalt plants. So that's this year, and then next year they do the opposite side of the road, which creates the same problem. And I know if you try going on M15 after about 3:30, 4 o'clock, every time Noreen and I have been down there, it is bumper to bumper from Independence Township in Clarkston,
Yeah.
all the way up to Ortonville, the whole, from 3:30, 4 o'clock on. And I think Dixie has got parts of it where it's, about 80% increase in traffic, and was it last week, Kevin,
Yeah,
that
last
you and
week.
I went to Springfield?
Stacy did too.
Yeah, we went to Springfield and met with,
MDOT.
MDOT, the supervisor, and about 4 other fire chiefs, and, well, we have some problems getting out, you know, the only light we have in Groveland is the one at the station here, and he has a button, I think you push it, and it turns it red so you can get out. In
Four-way red, but we don't use it hardly ever.
But in Springfield, they actually can't get out at that Davisburg station because the traffic is up, I think on the intersection, she said 80%. So, we're hopeful because it worked well last year that it'll still work, but nobody knows for sure what the impact of all this traffic and changes are. So, I think the last video I did was said it's going to be bad this year. Okay.
I think the road commission said it'd take 18 months to get a light like that in there
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Plus they're like $300,000 to $500,000, so they just don't put them in right away. And so anyway, I think we'll still have some problems, but I do think the Renaissance Festival has made a huge improvement in doing what they can. What we really don't know is how much of a problem that whole snag of traffic, because one of the things that came out of the meeting is MDOT said to go from where they are in Springfield up to the Holly exit is the longest single lane closure that I think they'd ever done. They said at one point they considered doing 4 or 5, but they thought the pain would have been worse because it would take 3 or 4 years to get it done. So, we're cautiously optimistic, right?
I've come south on 75 a couple of times, and I think this is what Bob is referring to. The more appropriate way, maybe the only easy way to get to the festival, under current conditions would be to get off at North Holly Road and Grand Blanc, and filter your way here, and that's gonna be a monster for people coming through Grand Blanc because of all the lights that are timed for it.
But Chip said he was gonna put signs all the way into Grand Blanc,
I'm
telling
gonna-
them to get to the correct lane.
I've gotta talk to him about a charity event, see if he's interested, so I will also just tell him, hey, listen, I've driven this, and I think you probably need to do it even before that exit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
And
No,
Dixie
it was-
Highway north of that interchange is under, they're grinding it and resurfacing it right now
Yes.
from the I-75 all the way up to Baldwin Road is down to 1 lane.
Pretty much you can't get to anywhere.
And it'll be
right
that
now.
way through the middle of June.
But, you know, just because I want to see them succeed, I give them a heads up, and I'll give the website whatever they can. So with all.
But they have made really huge improvement.
No, yeah.
And it should be better than it would otherwise be. I'm just saying, I don't want people to think that, well, there'll be no problems at all, because we really don't know what the impact of that whole closure is gonna have on it with the rest of it this year. Hopefully it still works
Do
okay.
you guys in the fire department get complimentary tickets still? That stinks.
No, they stopped giving them.
I'll bitch at him about that. Anyhow, with that,
That's
I
when
recommend.
we raised the fee for the
Yeah, they
ambulance
worked
service,
out.
they said, we can't give you the tickets anymore. We said, okay,
Thank you.
yeah, raise the fee.
Fire department.
Yeah,
Anyhow, I recommend to the board that we accept the
special use.
special use permit.
Okay, there, support.
So
Okay,
that was
any
a
other
formal
questions or
motion,
comments
so
from the
No,
board?
she just answered my question. I was gonna say, as a resident who's right there, does she have any
Yeah.
other input?
You know what, and I would tell you.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, I agree, last year was phenomenal. I really don't know that there was any time that I had an issue. I like their theory of the flags, I will tell you, I don't think the flags work. I don't think that's on the festival, I think it just happens to be the sheriffs that are out there aren't maybe necessarily looking for them. But I, overall, am very, very happy and pleased with how they've handled this.
You know, sorry, I didn't ask, I forgot.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, so motion by Jim, second by
Support.
Janelle. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, very good. Thanks, Jim. That was very helpful.
Yes.
Okay, next item, moving to miscellaneous, Holly Area Youth Assistance.
I don't have a whole lot. They had their award ceremony last week. They have the Memorial Day Parade coming up. And then on June 7th, they have the Team Block Party. But that's all the news that I shared last month, so.
Did your report say how many people they honored at their youth recognition?
I didn't bring it out here.
Okay.
And I didn't take
That's
a
okay.
note, sorry.
I'll ask Tasha, she's same caseworker for both
Yeah.
Holly and Brandon.
Okay, thank you. Brandon Grove?
Brandon had their youth recognition, a couple of weeks ago, at the Brandon High School Performing Arts Center. And, the guest speaker was, Harvey Swanson Principal Jessica Hebel. She did a fantastic job. Great message of hope and remaining positive despite any circumstances. So this year's focus, or theme was focus on the positive, so. That same day, April 25th, was also Challenge Day at the high school, and it was one day. Challenge Day is, it's a day where students and adults, there's like 4 students to every 1 adult, because they do get into some small groups and stuff, but they just get a chance to recognize that we all have more in common than we do have different. Like, we all have some things in common with one another. And it's a very dynamic day. So they had about 100 people attending that. Caseworker is the same one who works for both organizations, but she said there were 27 referrals last month. Primarily, most of these referrals are coming for truancy, but they do run, several other reasons. There's a fundraiser, Wojo's. If you mention BGYA when checking out on June 1st or 2nd, then 10% of the proceeds go to BGYA. And graduation is June 2nd on the football field. And there's a meeting tomorrow, which I will ask about Kate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jim, did you have anything else besides the
I
festival
do.
stuff?
I had the rare pleasure of actually looking at our ordinances for personal project. And I will tell you, we need to go through the first few pages because the township, I don't know where, I can't speak tonight. The township officials are enormously out of date on it.
Really? They're still the old? Really?
I'm looking at it now, I mean, it's out of date.
Okay.
So, I consider that more of a clerical thing, but
Okay.
I generally don't look at this stuff, it just happened to, so. We can take care of it, period, that's all, I just bring it to someone's attention. The majority of my discussion, we already did. This was it, so I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Gina?
There is
BZA?
a zoning appeal tomorrow, actually, personal property, tomorrow night. And also, the meeting that we attended on the 29th of April was incredibly informative, and I completely agree with you, Jim, and we met 2 very dynamic people who do ordinances at that event that, I think.
Oh, when we had the RFP request tomorrow?
Oh, you guys went somewhere.
We went to Oakland County, did a class for planning and ZBA members. And the people who present the 2 people who presented it work for the Planning Association. However, they both work for a private firm as well that redoes ordinances. I took a business card. I was impressed. Now, it was how many hours were we there, Dave?
5.
Yeah, it was a very lengthy presentation, a ton of information, but presented so well. You didn't feel overwhelmed. You didn't, it was really, it was very, very well done. And if they do their paperwork like that, I'd be interested in talking to them.
I think Danielle sent the letters out for the request for bids on the planning.
Okay, yeah, she was at the same
Yeah,
thing, so.
we just didn't want to do it in the midst of that last cleanup, because everybody knows things went great when we had Ben, and then when he got
Right.
ill and passed away, it kind of
Right.
fell apart, and we were just trying to get through that, so those letters went out. Okay, if everybody's okay, I'll move mine to the end, because I got 2 or 3 things you'll need to explain to everybody, okay? So, Janelle, do you have anything?
Just a couple little things. We got a lovely thank you from BGYA for the certificates for their program. There's an invitation for the Oakland County Relay for Life event that's coming up on June 8th. So feel free if anybody wants to check that out before you leave today. I mentioned already our auditors are in this week, so that's exciting. Real exciting.
Oh, like a sharp stick in your eye.
I was busy today. We did actually have an election last Tuesday. It was just the Goodrich School election, so I know I had already mentioned I had to be here all day, but we didn't have any voters coming in because we consolidated with Ellis Township, so that our Goodrich voters just went and voted there. It did not pass. but that was last Tuesday. This is just really actually more, Kevin, probably for you more than anybody. The FTC, did vote to finalize a new rule prohibiting, non-competes. And I didn't know if that would be beneficial for you or not.
But we don't tell our firefighters they can't go someplace else.
Well, we don't.
Oh, but some
but
of the
some
other
other
ones might, oh,
places
good
do.
point, yeah, there are some, I think, who do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much, it's the unions that tell them they can't go anywhere. So it's not other departments. We don't have an issue with
Great
it.
news.
And it's not even technically the union, it's the local guys that say you can't work anywhere else.
But you know, they used to do that at AT&T when I was there, and they would tell you that when everyone started having independent carriers available and stuff, they would start telling you guys can't go to work for them. And they actually had the vice president of Chicago sent all of us letters, you need to sign that no compete clause right now.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, you got a lot of hassle over it, right? But that's the kind of thing they're getting away from, because a lot of people would say, well, if you don't want me, cool, I'll go here and I just get a big raise, you know?
This, I mean, this is great information if anybody is interested in reading it. I mean, they're noting that about 1 in 5 Americans are subject to non-competes. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's all right if you're hiring a senior manager or some sort that has proprietary design information on something you're making. I would think that's like if you were at Tesla and you made batteries or something, you know? But you can't just go to somebody and say, everybody works for me, you can never go to anybody else in the same field, which is what AT&T trying to do.
That is what, so upper management, I forget exactly how they phrased it, so in those positions, they can still have them, but for the most part, they removed
During
them.
COVID, there was a hospital that told all their employees they couldn't go work anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? Yeah, so it's
So we can have where
ridiculous.
it's stemmed from. Let me see, I got that. I think just the only other thing is that we have the meet the candidates. We had a date set, Kevin, and we changed it, so.
What was the date? I don't remember.
Well, it was gonna be the 16th, but
Okay.
I think we changed it. So now we're looking at maybe more of a Sunday instead of a Saturday. We thought maybe the, Saturday.
I was waiting for,
Be difficult.
at
Yeah,
least
we
you two to
could-
pick a day, but.
We'll,
When you do, you
I
should
had
have
the,
them.
I think I had the
posted on
15th for
Yeah.
so
Saturday.
the Saturday.
And I was
then we
just,
were
I
gonna
just,
do the Sunday before. What is that? Is that the
The
9th?
9th.
I think that's what we had
I
talked
can look
about.
up your text.
So this is June?
So maybe we should just make this
June.
official right now,
June
Yeah, that
9th?
way everybody hears.
Sunday.
Well, and I think the other thing was that was Father's Day weekend.
June 9th was?
No.
No one
Oh, right,
celebrates
the other one
Father's
was,
Day.
yes, the other one was Father's Day weekend, so
No one celebrates Father's Day.
so this is actually the fire department that's actually hosting this over Fire One?
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna do an open house and,
At 2,
yeah.
and what day is it gonna be?
She said, you had given me June 9th, so,
That was the day,
okay.
I just couldn't remember. So June 9th in the afternoon, and there'll be more information coming up.
What's the tentative time too?
10 to 2 or something. We haven't really discussed it.
Okay, and we advertise this so that.
It's an open house.
It would be,
We'll put,
It'll-
we'll
yeah.
put up hot dogs and
Be on
hamburgers.
the
I think you guys did it before, yeah?
I'll come to the
Yeah.
house.
Groveland Township Facebook page,
Before COVID, we did it.
2 o'clock,
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock, not 10 to 2. Some people will be in church.
Yeah,
So,
My vote would be
2 to what?
I would recommend 2.
2 to 4.
Sure.
About noon to 4, that way they could show up. or
12
not.
to 4.
12 to 4 is a long. You're telling
All right, that's the third time I'm changing the snow here in 1 minute.
I say 4 hours is a long time.
It is.
Not for us, we're there 24.
June 9th. Everybody's here. Almost everybody's here.
June 9th.
I'm just thinking when we did the Halloween thing, it was about 4 hours too, so we had a lot of people just coming through all day, all the time.
Okay. So we would just be hanging out, serving hot dogs and.
Yeah, we'll set up the stuff, and if you don't wanna come, don't come, but I mean.
Is it still gonna be a meet the candidates?
If you wanna show up, yeah.
/ meet the candidates.
If you don't show up, you're not gonna meet anybody.
Okay, so 12 to 4.
I just thought that'd be a chance for everyone to come by and see, and if you wanna come to the,
Ladder truck?
yeah, come look at the ladder truck or whatever, just so you
I
can
like
see
it.
what, I mean, we get Lots of times when we go on scene, my kid would love to go see it. Come by anytime you want, just
Yeah.
knock on the door, we'll show you. You know, and
Okay.
I love it when the little kids go through that hallway and they see the ladder, they go, whoa. And I said, I do the same thing.
Yeah, you know, we could probably make a little, flyer type of thing, just to
Yeah.
promote it and.
Just put one on the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that we have a date,
A date and a time.
we'll put it out on our info too.
I'm okay with the periodicals, I don't think it costs more than a couple $100, right?
Oh, to advertise it? Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's gonna be open house / meet the candidates.
Okay, thank you.
I like that idea, Jim.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
then Teresa?
You know what, Janelle, there was
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, I thought.
the one request from the ambulance company about waiving that.
Oh, I gave it to Kevin,
Okay,
so I don't know.
We'll probably just waive it, because that insurance paid most of it, so.
yeah, all right.
I don't know
didn't
what I
if that
did
was
with the
something
paper.
that had to be,
Yeah, I know.
Usually they just send them to me.
On his agenda or not.
okay, all right.
Did I cut you off?
No, I believe I'm done with my checklist.
Okay. All right, so for treasurer, well, I already mentioned about the taxes being moved over and everything from 2023 tax collection. Settlement is done. We're in the queue to be paid out. The amount that we're gonna get paid out is, small because I collected almost all the taxes, right? Because of Angela's assistance and the phone calls and letters we sent, we were able to cut the unpaid parcels list by, from 128 or 130 parcels down to 80, which is really good.
Big chunk,
Like,
yeah.
it's a drastic, change. So you probably will get maybe $20,000 more in taxes
Something.
from when they pay it out, and the township might get 4, okay? Just saying. And that will probably be in June or July. So we have some CDs that are maturing and gonna be reviewing the rates, but the rates are holding steady, we're very diversified. I'm gonna renew some of those because we've got some liquid funds at Michigan Class, where our ARPA funds are, and other infrastructure funds for paying off the station that's scheduled for this year. Let's see, dog licenses, everybody's still encouraged to come and get their dog license while they're still affordable before Oakland County raises the rates. And they always raise the rates on June 2nd, but that falls on a weekend. So the last day that we're open here for coming in and getting dog licenses is actually Thursday, May 30th. So on the following Monday when we come back, the price go up, and that's by Oakland County, not by us. So I attended the Oakland County Treasurers Association's Treasurer to Treasurer panel last month, and I've decided to follow up on getting our investment policy certified by the APT, which is the Association of Public Treasurers. So this was highly recommended by Joe Snyder, who is the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Rochester Hills. He presented about it. He said basically, and I printed something about it so that in case you might wanna see, what is this APT? Why do it? Because it basically assures your stakeholders, and I'm sure our investment policy is sound, but I went back and looked after this recommendation that you certify it every 5 years. And I didn't find any evidence that it was certified, like in the past. I might not be looking in the right spot, but what I'd like to do is I'm gonna pursue following their sample policies here. They have 18 different points that they want you to include. And when you do this, you are showing your stakeholders that, your policy allows you to avoid mistakes and mishaps that other municipalities might fall into. and you're abiding by professional standards established to ensure prudent management of public funds. So that fee is only $300 if you're not a member of APT, $200 if you are a member. We're not members, but I'll look into it and see if it's worth joining, but they will still certify your investment policy if it meets their standards. So I had mentioned it to Bob after I came back from the treasurer's meeting, and, you know, we both thought that it was a good idea, so I'm just bringing it up to you guys. I'll keep you posted as I progress through this process. I've also, oh, go ahead.
As long as he's here.
Yeah, I can talk to Ken about it, that's a great idea. I'll talk to him this week. Matter of fact, I'll write that on my list here. Ken Helka, the guru, right? And then I've registered for a free public funds investment seminar held by Michigan Class. It's on June 11th. It's gonna have 3 educational sessions, and one of them is gonna be held or run by the Michigan Department of Treasury about economic impact or economic update and the impact on local governments, which I thought was, you know, gonna be quite timely, right? And so I plan to attend in person, but it's free. The only cost would be mileage. All else is covered by Michigan Class. And the only other thing is, I'm just preparing the summer tax bill, you know. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Now, for the supervisor's report, there's 2 or 3 things I need to cover with everybody so we're all on the same page. First of all, in the special board meeting we had, it was a closed session. We did, after we convened out of the closed session, confirm the park name to the Mines of Oakland, which everybody that's been affiliated with the ORV park for the last probably 7 or 8 years, I think, has used. And it is available in Will's office. Filed the name for us and minesofoakland.com, so we can use a web connection for it. The other thing that we did, we agreed on that we want to see, and I asked them to do this, Z Promotions do a presentation to the whole board so you could get a better understanding what he intends to do if we hire him that day for the promotional aspects on the tech park. And Tom Z is the guy that's on Big Sky Drive that rents the park 98% of the time for everybody that uses it, because he puts all the events on there as well as a bunch of around the country. He knows every off-road manufacturer, decision maker, and accessory maker in the country, I think. And anyway, I think he's got a very good package, so I asked him to present it, and I think I have that set for
Tuesday the 21st.
Is that at the 20th? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
The 21st.
5:30.
At 5:30 to 7:30. Okay, so if anybody wants to see what we're looking at doing on the park, he's gonna be here to talk about it. I anticipate at the end of that presentation, because it'll be a public meeting, to officially get everybody to agree to hopefully hire him so we can get started on the video and the stuff we have to make for the promotion. And also agree on the price per acre, because people keep on asking me, and I keep on telling them, well, the board hasn't agreed on it yet, so we need to put that number out there, I think, and I would like to hire the broker as well. So those are the 3 things I'd like to do at that meeting, and I think it's important. The other thing is, we had a meeting last week, Chief and I, and Laura Moreau in Springfield, and about 4 other chiefs and the people from MDOT, talking about some enhancements, how will I say this, that we all brought to their attention about the way they're handling the closures on I-75, okay? And so they kind of agreed, yeah, we're kind of learning on this. There's 3 different things they're going to do, but Laura's been playing phone tag with me since Thursday, and neither she nor I have heard back from the representatives from MDOT that were going to give us the information, because I said, if you won't do the video, I'll do it, and if Laura wants to do it with me, we'll do it together. So at least the residents that call in and ask about the problems on Dixie Highway and how traffic can't get around will know that we heard them, and they're trying to make some improvements that they can for it. It's not gonna be perfect, but it should be better. There's 2 or 3 issues they addressed, and so if I actually get to speak to her live instead of Memorex tomorrow, I'll try and and get that out, we'll put a video out so everybody knows what's happening on those I-75 repairs. So, that's pretty much it, except for one other thing that I need to clarify, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there. David Fleet calls me periodically and asks, is there anything to talk about and what's going on? And I said, well, we've been approached by a battery manufacturer. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's 3 kinds of power that the state wants to take control over. That's solar power, wind power, and what they call storage battery power. And this probably oversimplifying it, but storage battery power is huge lithium battery systems that are in self-contained units, kind of like a shipping container, that have their own heating, cooling, and fire suppression equipment and alarm reporting equipment in it. And if you need a lot of it, you just put multiple units together. We didn't go looking for this, and we didn't start this, I guess, fight in the legislature. But here's what happened, so you understand what's going on. Because some people, I had 3 people contact me, 2 via email that I responded to, and 1 that had a phone call. By the time I got done, she seemed much calmer than when she called me. Okay. Last October, the state of Michigan's legislative body and the governor put out a new law that said as of November 29th this year, all solar, wind, and storage battery systems that go into the state that are over, I think it's 50,000 megawatts of service, will be covered by Eagle, and they will set the parameters on it, okay? So, if you just stop and think about that for a minute, if you do nothing on November the 29th, that's the law that's in effect, okay? So they can come in and they won't even be really talking to us, they'll be going right to Eagle, which is what the DNR used to be. We have a narrow window here if we want to try and get our own ordinance in place before then. And coincidentally, with the help of Laura, who I've been flooding with emails saying, keep this number, don't let this one get away. We found out that Eagle has put together a promotional offer that said, if you get an ordinance in place for any of those 3 systems by September 29th, based on the size of the system, you get a grant from the state. So I got the gal live this morning and I said, let me make sure I understand this before I go any further. But the one they want to put out here in Groveland Township, because there's none in Oakland County right now, is 300 megawatts of service. And here's basically how these things work. They have to tie them into a high power corridor line, like the ITC line that runs north and south basically through the township. They have to have a high power line that has excess capacity in it. In other words, they can't tie into one that's already filled up, there's no place to put it. But what they do is they basically tie in and buy utilities, electrical generated service off peak hours, store it in these lithium batteries, and then when the utility needs it, like if it's the daytime's the busy time or whatever, they buy it back from the company at premium time. So if you think about it, they're kind of getting the spread on the rate, right? And that's the principle behind this, okay? So if we do nothing, come 11/29, they can come in, go to the DEQ, get a permit, whatever the rules are they have in place, and that's it, there ain't nothing we can do. If we can get an ordinance in before then, we can put some extra conditions on there, and if the applicant thinks they're pretty reasonable, they'll agree to it. Part of the reason they would agree to it is, if they wait and go to the state's law under Public Act, I think it's 233, actually says, oh yeah, when you make application, you need to give us $150,000. We put it in a legal fund for the people that want to appeal it to go to court over it. You're kind of paying for it. Well, you don't really want to pay that 150 grand, right? So I found that when Lester came to us and said, we have a site, we want to do it, the first thing I did was look at it. It's on the south end of the township, right on the township border. It's next to ITC's power line. It is the piece, it's 62 acres of unpopulated wooded property. Okay, nobody lives on it. On the other side of the power line is another huge piece of property that looks like it's empty. On the opposite side of them is a big piece of empty property that the church, the River Church there, you know, down in Springfield, that's right on our border, sold to this guy that wants to start doing some gravel mining on it. So here you have 62 acres, nobody lives on it, all wooded, ITC power line here with another big empty piece next to it, and you have a guy that's gonna start gravel mining next to it on this side, and so that's 3 of the sides, right? And one of them butts directly up to I-75. Okay. On the side that butts up to Springfield, there's I think it's 4 houses, 1 in Groveland and 3 in Springfield, okay? When I looked at it, I told the guy, I said, you know, maybe we can do this, because frankly, the award from Eagle for that size system is $1.5 million to the township, okay? And in their normal pitch to us, their one-time fee permit that they pay to the township is $600,000. So we're talking about basically walking into $2.1 million, okay? If we approve it on our own ordinance, which we can add extra restrictions to, as opposed to just waiting till November the 29th and losing $1.5 million, okay? So, I've talked to them, and they've been pretty accommodating. They offered to fly Chief and I down to Texas, but that's hard to get down there and back in a day, and I'm sure my eyeballs will be hanging out of my head by the end of the day, right? So, he's going to go to the San Antonio location. We're gonna do it on a Zoom call, and he's gonna check whatever.
You were pointing at me, I was like, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, you did. I asked you if you wanted to go.
No, but you pointed at me like, he's gonna go to San Antonio, like.
No, not you. The guy from Vesper.
Oh, I already met you.
And then talk to us while he's there, so we can ask him questions about it. But these things, just so you know, they exist all over the country. There's buku of them everywhere. We just don't have one in Groveland Town,
In Oakland.
Oakland County. And so, he's gonna do that. Then the other thing I asked him, I said, look, if we do this, I don't wanna have a proliferation of them in the township. So I would probably modify the ordinance so that it fits that one piece, because I actually think that's a pretty good place for it. There's nothing around it, right? And he said, yeah, we don't have a problem with that. I said, okay. I said, and also I noticed where you located the storage cells themselves. I think it was about, when I had Danielle look at it, I think it was about 300 feet, roughly, maybe from the houses.
From the houses, yeah.
And I said, but you got a big piece of property, why don't you shove it over where it's I-75 and give us like 800 or 900 or 1,000 feet? And they said, yeah, I think we could do that. So they're being cooperative, and as long as it all falls into place, I think we're gonna do it, because the answer's gonna be, we'll have less control and we'll get it anyway, okay? And I don't think a lot of people understand that, because one lady called up, I think, and she thought, how could we dare do this, and ask him? And I said, did they read the same article in the Citizen I did? Because I read it twice, and it didn't say we asked anybody. It said, we're talking to them, and then he interviewed Vesper Energy, which is the company that makes the cell. And I didn't see anywhere where it said we were invited or it was a done deal. We're talking to them. But as you dig into this, I've been calling the Michigan Townships Association, and I spoke to the attorney that's writing the ordinance for him. And she was extremely helpful today. And in my mail tomorrow morning, I expect the draft of an ordinance that she told me about. You're trying to get the one in San Antonio, so we can compare it to that. I've called Eagle and had several discussions with them. I'm trying to find out if there's any safety-related issues that they think we need. And we're gonna kind of mix this all together and put it together with the extra conditions we want. And so far, I would say Vesper's been very accommodating in wanting to do this. If we can pull this off, we're gonna get a big hunk of money in the township. And we're gonna have more control than we would if we just sat back. And I think a lot of people think, oh no, you guys must have invited them in. And it's, you know, it's gonna be the end of the world if it happens. They're gonna be everywhere. Not when we get done with the ordinances, okay? And I think they just don't understand in some cases that the state had already written a law last October that said, you got till November 29th, and then we're gonna basically drop the hammer on it. So I wanted everybody to know that. And Vesper is going to come in and do a presentation, I believe it is the 3rd of May. And I'm not sure, but we'll put it,
We're already past that.
or I mean, the 3rd of June, I'm sorry, yeah. I think that's what it is. But if I get it confirmed, I'll have it put on the sign out front,
have to blast that one
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, so they know. But I think if everybody understands that the issue is, you're not gonna be able to stop these after the 29th of November. And after the 29th of November, you don't get to put any rules in that are stricter than what theirs are unless they agree. So there's a distinct advantage to us doing this now on top of qualifying for $1.5 million. And I did call the Eagle people and I said, I wanna make sure for this size system, that calculates out to $1.5 million. And she said, yes, that's right. And I said, do you have any yet? She said, nobody's submitted a self-storage yet. So we might be the only ones. I do know that the company wanted to put 1 or 2 more on the west side of the state where that ITC line kind of curves and then it goes west. Van Buren County, I think it is, and I forget the other one. But I don't think anybody submitted anything yet. So, Laura, you got that was the application form that we looked at today, wasn't it? Did we fill that out or did they do it?
Oh, no, that was for Janelle. What you brought me today was Janelle had printed out.
We're gonna fill the application out, because I wanna get it before the 29th. And as soon as I have the information back from Eagle, along with the stuff I got from the MTA's attorney, and we know about the permits for it, we're gonna submit an application, and we're gonna put our own set of rules in, and if they agree with it, I think we can make the thing fly, and we'll get a bundle of money. And again, so that, of course, you have to use that $1.5 million for the township. It's, yeah, that's kind of what I figured. But I said, believe me, we got a lot of places we could use $1.5 million. Well, I thought it was cute when she did that. You have to use it for the township. I figured that.
And because it's an ordinance, it'll go through the planning commission
Yeah,
process.
yeah, so we'll try and get it all teed up so that when the planning commission gets it, Jim, you guys will know that we did the homework on it and on what we can. The only thing I haven't got so far is the initial call with Eagle says you need a clean air, clean water, and a soil erosion permit. And I said, I understand the soil erosion because when you build something, you gotta put that plastic fence around the runoff, right? But I said, I don't understand yet why you need clean air and clean water, because the thing's self-contained and it's basically got a furnace and an air conditioning unit inside it, and we don't do it on a house. Look, and this is why I've asked, is there something I'm not seeing? And the person that is the expert on the storage cells is out until tomorrow, because I've called her 2 or 3 times. So when I get that information, I should have everything we need to kind of rub it together. And I think, Chief, you got some information from some other fire chiefs about it. So if there's anything in it, because I know
sent it to you, did you?
Yeah. But I don't know what it says, it's fire stuff. I know there's an NFP number on it, and that's so, look that over and kind of highlight what you think it is we need to make sure it's included, because I want to wrap all that in the ordinance when we do it. So it's going to happen fairly quick, but I think we would be neglectful if we didn't get our money out of this and have the ability to strengthen the ordinance so that it doesn't get proliferated too much in the township. So that's it.
Excuse me a second, Kevin, did that article share things like distances and possible heat output per kilowatt or something for combustibles around it?
The drawings we looked at, it's just containers out in the middle, on the cement pad in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So it's, if it caught fire, I'm assuming it would be one container at a time, and all we're gonna do is surround and around it. So it's if it's lithium ions, you can't really put them out.
Okay.
So it's just protect exposures, and there's nothing there.
They do offer a training class, the guy told us when we talked to him, that they come and they train your fire department annually on it, and I think we would specify they probably should do us in Springfield since it's right on the border.
Yeah.
But
Good idea.
the only question I have is, and nobody's been able to tell me, is they said, this is what the problem is, the same thing that's in your cell phone or an electric car, when they get a short in the battery, they'll actually burn through your pocket, or in a car, a Tesla will burst into flame. The same thing could happen here, but it's a bigger battery, right? So my question is, when that happens, is there some hazardous gas that's existing from it that I don't know about, that you need to do something special?
Well, I've been reading up on them a little bit, is that now they have systems that can sense when's gonna go into a thermal meltdown. And they can isolate that.
Like that
warm.
cell,
Yeah.
or a cooled building.
Obviously, if it's a stack of them and this one catches fire, you could catch that whole stack.
Yeah.
But it depends on how they're designed. Could have metal walls between, you could
So what I'm guessing is, in the
Reduce the
case of
effect.
a runaway fire, potentially, you might get something exhausted, I'm guessing, I don't know right now, exhausted into the air, and I'd be curious to know if that's why they want an air discharge from
It's
there.
probably it.
Yeah.
But until I get the answer from them directly, I don't know. And it's been surprising how much they have not done on this yet. For November the 29th, suppose they have a system in place for it.
Well, I guess my point would be is from what I know of these batteries, they're less hazardous than the, you know, the 500-gallon propane tank you have in your yard.
Yeah.
You know, so it's.
Yeah, I know, I used to be afraid that would blow up next to my car barn and I'd lose my whole collection in 1 minute.
Because propane would just sit on the ground, and then as it spreads, it's gonna find an ignition source somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but this is just, now there might be some noxious gases or some, you know, hazardous vapors released if it went into thermal. I guess that's the question we ask, how often does that happen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my thought was this, when Vesper comes for their presentation, tell them to bring all their safety data, because,
Well, I'm sure they will, yeah. There's good 2 hours of figuring it out.
okay, my concerns are, you know, what are the possible problems that can happen, and where else are you, if they're located in all these multiple places, what's the data on these other places? Have the, you know, like, we don't wanna bring something to our township that, sure, it'll bring us a lot of money, but in the end of it, you know, it ends up,
Just remember though, whatever they are, I'm sure this is not fly by night, because they got a
Right.
bunch of them. So
Yeah.
whatever it is.
and they're spending a
if
lot of
we-
money to do it.
Because if we say no, they're just gonna wait, I'll do.
They're gonna wait
9th of
till November, and they're gonna do it anyway.
And you won't even get asked.
Right, no, I understand all that, I watched all those webinars and everything as well, and, I'm a big proponent of local control, I've been,
Yep.
you know, going out and asking, you know, friends and neighbors to sign a petition for it and everything, and, so, you know, I do know that this is coming, it's part of the agenda to get, you know, 50% or more of our electricity from renewable sources, and it's been mandated, and, you know, it's going to happen at some point, so why?
We might as well have some extra input in it, well, we can.
Absolutely, but, you know, obviously, we wanna make sure it's as absolutely safe as possible.
Yep.
And it sounds like, you know, you've addressed those concerns as well, and you're asking those questions, so, that's what I'm hoping to hear about, you know, at the presentation. So they have already confirmed
Yeah,
that they're coming?
I just looked here, my note on here says yes, June 3rd, 5:30 to 7:30. And the question was, where do we wanna have it? Do you think we should have it here or at Dixie Fire Station?
If we blast the heck out of it, I think we should have it at the high school performing arts center. But, I don't know what kind of turnout we'll get,
I don't
right?
know. I've actually only had 3 people that got that.
Well, I had somebody who saw it in the Citizen, was like, I don't want this, I wanna look at trees, and I'm like,
You still will, it's in the middle of 62 acres.
there's not much knowledge out there about it, because it is brand new, and that's the first they're hearing about it. So I did say, you know, there will be a public meeting where you can come in and learn all about it, so.
Actually, it's kind of close, I don't know if we'll have it all by time, but if we do, I wouldn't mind putting a Facebook video on it. I just think, if people understand,
Yeah,
if we do nothing, we actually have less control.
right,
And if you look at the article that was in the Citizen this past week,
yeah,
from Brandon, that's exactly why they're doing theirs on solar.
exactly.
Is it a possibility to get Tamarack if we need it?
Oh, that Buxel Center, like we did,
Yeah, like we did for the master plan?
Well, I don't know, do you think that?
does the capacity there bigger than here?
I don't think that Buxel Center's all that big when you put all the cables. I actually think
Station 1.
Station 1 is better, if that's okay with you. Is that available that day?
I mean, we'll just make it available.
Okay.
Oh, the training center
Okay,
area?
let's
Voting happens?
do it at Station 1 then.
Okay,
And I'll call them tomorrow after I get some more information back. Okay, well, that's it. I wanted everybody to know because that's it. Kevin, you had a question?
What road does that come out on, and, where will they put their entrance? Will it come off of Garden Road then?
Well, I think, I'm trying to picture the map in my
Yeah.
mind now. You know where the River Church is?
Yep.
Okay, I think just, I think it'd be east of the River Church. There's one little house in a big area that the River Church had been kind of poking around, somebody had been poking around mining dirt.
Yep.
Well, all that property back there, there's 2 guys that are asking if they can have a mining operation on that. it's the piece of property next to that.
So they'd have to come out on Tucker Road.
I
I
would
believe
think,
so.
yeah, I think it's Tucker
Yeah, they
Road.
didn't have any roads drawn on the drawing. that they
Well,
showed.
there, you can see, the houses are on Tucker, I think, aren't they?
No, I mean, they didn't show their access entrance to it.
Yeah.
No, they just had overlaid I think it was 8 boxes.
8 containers.
And then a line for the conduit that goes under the ground, and they have to put a little switching building up that actually connects it up to the ITC power line, so that when they need to take power in or out, that's where it goes through.
So it's not like they're gonna have cars and stuff going in and out. of
There
this
won't be
place.
anybody.
There won't be.
It's all automatic.
Not traffic.
The whole thing's automated.
Yeah.
And then, interesting thing was, they said, we have a maintenance people, and if the alarm goes out, they'll be there within 30 minutes, right? And I said, well, we're kinda close, so I think we'll be there before you get there.
I can't see how they could be there in 30 minutes, but.
Yeah, so Kevin and I think what they need to do, and we'll bring that up with them, we think they should, besides calling their maintenance people when there's an alarm, trigger a call to 911 so it automatically gets dispatched to the fire department.
Yeah.
So, just so we know, at least we know right away what's going on. But actually, I don't see how it could, when I looked at the spot, I thought, wow, if I was picking a place, I don't think there's a better place I could have picked in the whole township.
And they're gonna clear anything from the.
About 10 or 12 acres where the
Yeah,
thing
so
sits.
there
yeah.
won't be anything nearby that can catch fire or anything else.
There's a little bit of wetlands on one side, I think it might have been the side by the highway, but they know they gotta get wetlands designation and all that on it, because they're not gonna be anywhere near it. So as long as they move it farther away, we would be exceeding the recommendations they have for how close they are, because I talked to the attorney about that today. We just need to understand why they need the permits and what are the issues at hand on that, and it's been interesting, when you call DEQ, you can make about 1,000 calls before you actually get a person. But that's it, I just wanted everybody to know, so we're trying to be open on this, nobody's hiding anything or doing anything in the dark.
Well, thank you for setting up that meeting with Vesper, public meeting.
Yep.
I think, once, if you confirm that for sure, we should blast that
Yeah.
out there and get that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna call them tomorrow and
Newspapers
tell them where it is, I
and
just didn't have, I wanted to ask the address today, so I'll tell them.
everything. Okay, all right.
Okay, anything else?
Any public comment?
If not, we need to open this for public comment at the end, if there any public comment out there? They always ask you every meeting.
Most of the time, Chris and I are the only ones here.
Okay, if there are no comments, then a motion to adjourn and reconvene for the fire department would be in order.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Did you have some?
I'm gonna excuse myself, I'm so sorry, Chief. Katerina got sick in the hallway, and I just wanted to finish up that conversation,
Okay.
but I'm gonna not be present for the fire meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
take care. See you tomorrow.
Tell her I'll start the IV. I am.
You're all hurt, Kevin, you know?
I'll put my glasses on this
Now, a
time.
motion in order, is in order to
I'll make a motion that
adjourn.
we adjourn the regular board meeting and we open the
The
fire
fire.
board meeting.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Any from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay, we will reconvene, chief, and the meeting is yours.
Okay, the sheet we showed, we had 68 calls last month. And if you're looking on that sheet here, it's about what we had last year. Currently, we're at, and that came out to just a little bit over 2 calls per day. We're at 369 right now, so that's 41 calls, and today's only the 13th, so we're about 3 calls a day right now.
328, 369.
He's saying that right now.
Currently,
Currently in May.
328 for the month of, end of April, but we're already on 369 right now. So we've had 41 calls so far in May. I put down the 26th for the state ambulance inspection, is actually the 31st.
31st.
If you recall, they do that every year, it's rather painful, but
Which ones are they inspecting, the new ones and any
all of
old
them,
ones?
every year, and a lot of it's just the paperwork, it's the same paperwork every year, but you gotta check it
We
out.
I would hope after 1 year, they're still good, right?
No, a lot of them has to be updated every year, and there's
Really?
training and everything else,
Oh.
So
so,
is there a charge involved in that? Is there a fee for them to come out and inspect them?
no, it's
Okay.
just painful to get it done.
And are we still renting the one out, and so that will come back for our
We loan
inspection?
one out? Did we loan one
Oh,
out?
that was
No,
Springfield.
it's been back
Back,
for a while.
It's
okay.
back.
Okay.
Stacy and crew are still doing continuing hose testing at Station 2, and we're,
That was her, yeah.
she figures she's about at least 60% done with that. We did receive the new chief's truck. It's out front if you want to take a look at it. Took about a week. I thought it was a lot quicker than I thought. And Springfield Township, the new chief down there, he's like, oh, let me get that point of contact. He's thinking about getting another truck for them. So.
Actually, for us, I think you're right, the truck is better than getting a car.
Oh, it's 10,000 times.
And that car in particular, the pedal bike would be a bit better than that car.
So speaking of the car, we're going to bring it down there, but we're looking at that in the cop car. The cop car is a lot rustier, has a few less miles, but we're comparing the two, and I don't know we haven't decided yet which one to keep and which one to get rid of.
I admit it doesn't look bad, but can you keep it running? Because that's been the problem. It's always a phantom starting car.
Yeah, it needs an alternator right now, and I've got the alternator and I got the belt. Just so everybody knows, the last time I started it, it caught fire because the alternator was frozen up and the belt caught fire. And I was like, oh great, I have to call the fire department, put out the chief's car at my house. But I got it out, and Stacy was gonna come with the engine, make sure I knew what I was doing. But so it's just been sitting. I haven't driven it because I got my new personal truck and I'd rather drive that. But so the chief's truck's here. I've been driving it. I've got a whole 600 miles on it. And but thank you again.
Yeah, and that was 3/4 ton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive,
Yeah.
crew cab. Kevin Albert passed his EMT, and he's already working shifts. He worked with me on Sunday, 24. So he was a recent hire. He lives on Groveland Road. So
Who was the young lady you introduced me to the last time I was in that you said worked on a medevac helicopter or something?
that's Naomi. She worked today also.
Yeah. Luck, I'll get somebody that's pretty good that you.
The chief's magnetic personality. That's why. Engine 3 is out.
Wait for spontaneous combustion to happen.
Engine 3 is currently out of service. The last time we started it, it seems that the start circuit stayed engaged. The starter kept spinning, the motor was running. We disconnected the battery, it still was running. We had to manually disconnect the fuel so it would shut down. Justin Rose has been working on it. We took the starter in to see if have it tested because it got very hot. And they said, no, the starter's fine. So he and I might work on it.
Don't they have a Bendix on them, like a car that shoots the starter,
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
it?
But
that sounds like what was stuck.
But the fuel system seems like it was engaged also. It wouldn't shut down when we shut it off. So there's more than that, so.
Is that the one that's at Station 2 with?
Yeah, that's because everyone keeps calling me, hey, what's wrong with the engine? The cab? It's broken, that's what I tell them. At the chief's meeting 2 weeks ago, found out that the state has funding for a second set of fire gear for all full-time firefighters. That was the first I've heard of it. Stacy hadn't heard of it, I don't think you did. So we're looking into that, and so that would be 5 more sets of gear if we can get in on that program. Tom Z wants us to provide ambulance coverage for one of his things, the 12th through the 15th of September. Of course, that's during Renfest. So I said, oh, as long as it's not during Renfest, we'll be fine. And then he's like, oh, it is during Renfest. So it's
That's for Forfest, isn't it?
I don't remember which, but he's required to have them on scene. So
Yeah, and I thought he was gonna pay pretty good for that too.
well, I charged him. I told him what our rate is. So he said, okay. And then
He's very smart about wanting to make sure everybody he deals with is happy.
yeah, so
You know, he
We
likes
have
the
4
fire
ambulances.
department to be happy and makes the township permit people to be happy.
so if we have the 2 primary ambulances, we'll have one at Renfest during that time, and then the 4th one. So I was just talking to Stacy. Maybe we'll, to make sure we have coverage, maybe we'll make a deal with Knoxville or Springfield or Brandon,
One of the
see if
crews.
they can help us with a crew. And then got a call from Kaylin today, which is one of our cadets. She's just turned 18, and she was wanting to go to a EMT class. But the one she's talking about, it was an MMR class. Usually they don't let outside people in. They just, you sign a contract, you work for them for at least 3 years, and they'll pay for the class. So her, what she's gonna do has kind of been up in the air, so if she wants to take an EMT class, I'll tell her that there's a, requirement for her to stay on for so long, like you brought up, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
We haven't, just came up today, so we haven't worked out all the deals yet, the details.
And we're not the only one doing it, so.
Correct. And, as you know, we hired, Kyle, at our last meeting, and he's already working shifts, and he's also, he's an instructor, and, so Naomi is a PALS, an ACLS instructor, and an IC, so is Kyle.
Saw Burdess in the station, he still works for us part-time, right?
Every Friday he works, so,
Good
we
guy.
got a lot of instructors, and, getting someone to teach ACLS, we used to go down to see Feichner. One, he was cheap, two, he gave a good class, everybody likes his class, but, he moved to Florida, so, he's no longer available, but, those are, I guess, pretty much all I had, unless there's some questions.
No?
Oh, I got one more, is it JB Surface, the resurface, the seal coating?
Oh, seal, that's, yeah.
They sold it to Scotty Alexander, who's one of our firefighters,
Okay.
and, I'm sure I'm gonna get hit up for, hey, you need your driveway recoated. But he has been coming by and, some leftover, hot patch, fixing some of our holes at Station 2.
Good.
For free, so, when he finally says, oh, here's a quote, I'll have to bring it up here, I'm sure it's not cheap, but I think we spent like, I don't know. The coverage that the bucket says when I did it at Station 2 is nowhere near what it does, so it's, where I thought we were gonna do it, relatively cheap, it was a lot more
You
expensive.
know what I'm flabbergasted though? When we had this parking lot done last year, and Allied did that horrific job, right? And we said, we're not paying, we should redo this, right? And he couldn't figure out, and then he finally said, all right, I'll mill the top off and redo the whole parking lot, right? He kept on saying, it's still gonna pump. It's causing, I haven't seen any of those cracks come back, not one of them. And we had a lot of rain this spring.
Yeah. The asphalt at 2 is getting tired, so, is there a bug? So, cicada. So, there's a lot of more holes than usual, so, and of course, Station 1's in really bad shape, but we sold that, so we might have to patch some of the holes there, but, so I'm just giving a heads up on that.
I don't think Mary's decided what he's gonna do with it yet. Last time I talked to him, he said that thought he was gonna give it, didn't do it, told her to do something with it. So-
Must be nice, huh?
Yeah.
And we did take the, the cupolas on Station 2, they're falling apart, so we got some, went up there and measured them the other day, so we'll probably make some of those.
Yeah, my cupola on my carport rotted up. I actually got a composite one, and that sucker works great.
I was thinking about making it out of cedar, so.
That's what my first one was, it's still rotted away.
Really?
Yeah, but the composite stuff it's made out of, it's some kind of textured plastic or something, but.
You can make it out of tracks, but I mean, it doesn't screw together very well. So.
I have a quick question. So you had said something about the air conditioning unit at one of the stations.
We did get that repaired. I haven't got an invoice for that yet, but
Okay.
I saw the trucks there. I think it was on Sunday they were there. But we thought it was just a squirrel cage, but they came and looked at it and said that the combustion chamber was cracked. Typical, that's always happens. Whether it really happens or not, I don't know, but, so they said, and that's been in there for 25 years.
The compressor goes up, that's what it is, that's the guts of it.
But this is, it wouldn't blow any air. The
Oh.
compressor outside was fine.
Oh.
It's just the whole air handler unit was bad.
Oh, okay.
But I don't, I told him that we were approved up to told John that we were paid up, approved up to $6,000, so I don't know what it is. But.
Okay, nothing else?
Any questions?
Okay. Any public comment, any questions on the fire department? If not, motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I will, second.
Any questions or comments? Any from the audience? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. This is quicker than I thought.